Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, this is Tammy Patzer, and I am happy to introduce you to today's guest, Mary St. George. She's known as LakeFront Mary, and she is a very unique person because not only is she an expert in lakefront properties, she is the president of the largest chapter of the Women's Council of Realtors in Rochester, New York. Welcome, Mary.
Hello, Tammy. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited to talk to you because you have a very interesting background and you're really, really busy with the season right now. So I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to talk to me today. Can you give me a brief thumbnail sketch about your background and how you got into lakefront real estate?
Well, the easiest part, of course, I've been in real estate for 10 years now, and I started out as a temporary part-time job. The business I was in started downsizing immensely, and it was in 2009. And it was either I stayed and had my time taken away from me, or I left, and I thought, well, I've got real estate. I can do real estate full time. So since I live on one of the Finger Lakes, so one of the 11 Finger Lakes, I thought, well, I'll concentrate on the lakefront properties. This is, where I live. This is my passion, and it's worked out quite well. I'm originally from Rochester, New York, which is about an hour away. So between Rochester and here, I've gotten to know a lot of the areas in between and the lakes in between. So that kind of made me knowledgeable of most of the lakes, which benefited me in selling the properties. And that's what I've been doing, and that's my concentration. And I just love it.
So since you know about these 11 different Finger Lakes, can you just describe for the audience a little bit about what makes this area a beautiful area to live in and why somebody would want to live there?
Sure. Well, of course, most people, when you tell them you live in New York State, they think of New York City and they think of skyscrapers. Well, most of New York State is made up of rolling hillsides and fields of whether it's cash crops or fruit trees. In my area, it's vineyards, which have a little microclimate going on because of the lakes. The inversion of the air keeps the vineyards warmer. So we're able to grow a lot of varieties of grapes. And so when people come up here, they don't just see the beautiful water and the fresh water. It's clean water. Besides that, it's great for boating, sailing, swimming, all types of water activities. And then people also get to take a little jaunt around the lakes and stop at the various wineries and do wine tastings. Some of them sit high up on the hill, so you get the nice views of the water. Some of them are lakeside, so you can take your boat right to the winery. There's a lot to do. There's museums in the area. Corning Glass is in the area, so you can actually go to Corning Glass and watch the glass makers make glass. It's south of Rochester, so you still have people from the Rochester area, from Eastman Kodak and Bausch & Lomb and Xerox, some of those old famous companies. So it's a nice place to get away, farm fresh foods, farm markets, wineries, lake activities. It's a perfect vacation getaway place.
Wow, that sounds beautiful. So I'm thinking about the real estate market. You mentioned that you got started in 2009, or you talked about 2009, and that was after, in most places, we had I guess a market correction would be a good place or a good way to talk about it. So tell me a little bit about how selling second home properties is different than selling in the common market.
Well, and actually, 2009, we were at the housing crisis point of time, and it was a little difficult for regular residential properties. The strange thing is that we did have buyers coming from outside of the area with cash to invest in real estate because the market had a little dip in it. prices were more inviting, and if you had cash, it was a better place to invest your money at the time than the stock market, which we know what happened there. So it was kind of a up and down time, and some buyers weren't able to make the purchases, but people that had cash were able to. And it just continued upwards. And because we are a secondary market for second homes, vacation homes, we weren't hit like the regular residential market. Prices didn't fall down as much. And when they did, of course, investors did take advantage of it. But the markets just continued to move up, and people come to the area to invest their money. And because it's a beautiful area, if you want a second home someplace, today's a good example. It's sun shining. People are out in their boats already. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. It's probably going to be weather-wise just like it is in Florida. So it's going to be a great day for barbecues and boating, and the market just is not going to go down. When you have properties like this, the market's always going to be great.
So when somebody is thinking about buying a property, what should they be looking at and asking the real estate professional?
Well, and that's another good point too. They should be working with a buyer that's going to be working with them, because as most people should know, and a lot of them don't know, is that there's two sides of a real estate transaction. The most prominent side is the side that you're working with the seller. You want to get the seller the best price and in the best time for their property. But when you're working for a buyer, you have another side, and you want to explain to them and let them know some of the options or variables that affect their buying purchases. For instance, in this area, we have some areas with septic systems or wells, and you'll get people from major cities that come into the area that have no conception of what a septic system is or what a well is, how they're treated, how they're maintained. There's also different areas around the lake with stairs, and there's some areas around the lake that might be more weedy. So if they're into boating, they might not. That might not affect them, but if they're into swimming, they might be offended by the weeds. They might want to be in close proximity to a major city for shopping. Some people, on the other hand, might want to get on the lake where they're far away from everybody and everything. So you basically have to interview the client to see what they're looking for, and then work to find the properties that will fit their needs, because it is such a unique area, and each lake is unique in itself.
So because of your understanding of these different lakes, you said that you have 11 different Finger Lakes. Does that mean that you get a lot of referrals from other real estate agents?
Absolutely. And of course, the proximity of the lakes to the other major areas, it's either a referral business because they just don't understand the area or don't want to have to learn about the area in a short period of time. And some of them, it's just not their forte. They're used to working with regular residential clients or commercial clients. And everybody knows that I know these lakes inside out. So I get a lot of business from other agents and brokers. In fact, recently, I just received a phone call from another broker who had received information from an HGTV show asking for a realtor that works with lakefront properties. And she called me up and she said, "Mary, I gave them your name because you're LakeFront Mary." So I said, "Oh, thank you." So we actually have a taping coming up in about 3 weeks of some lakefront properties, and I'm not going to go into too much because I'll spill the beans about how they actually tape the shows and put them together. But it's going to be fun for my clients. They're looking forward to it. They have 2 teenage children, and they're just like jumping up out of their skins because they're going to be on this TV show. So it's kind of interesting, kind of fun, and I'm hoping we'll do a little bit more maybe down the road.
Oh, that's really sounds like fun, because it just proves that if you are the expert in something and you've spent a lot of time developing this knowledge about the lakefront properties and all the ins and outs of it, it just makes perfect sense for people to say, "Hey, go see LakeFront Mary," because she's the person who can guide you and give you the best service. And I want to talk about your involvement with the Women's Council of Realtors, and that must be something to balance between being a working real estate professional and then also being the leader of the Women's Council of Realtors in the largest chapter in the United States. Can you talk a little bit about, maybe briefly, a little bit about what the Women's Council of Realtors is, and then what are some of the projects that you're working on with the Women's Council?
Well, basically, the Women's Council of Realtors is an organization that helps to make better leaders out of women. It's a networking opportunity for women and men. Between 20 and 25% of our membership is comprised of men. Our chapter is very fortunate to be the largest chapter, and we have a lot of involvement from our members. And last year, we determined that because Rochester area has the third largest population of homeless children, we started a charity outreach program. So we're working very closely with one of our Rochester's largest charity groups that works with children, and it's called the Center for Youth. So we work with them to raise funds to, we actually help support their food pantry. We have various boxes out and about in the different real estate locations where we collect specific items. One month it might be a concentration of peanut butter, another month it might be a concentration of diapers, another month it might be pasta products. So it depends on what the pantry needs, what they're short on. We also have a group of women in that outreach program that actually go to the homes of some of these homeless men. They have a home set up, and they not only just feed them, but they actually bring food over there, show the young men how they're cooking the food, why they're cooking it the way they are, and then they serve them. And they have been, this has been a very successful program. It's not just feeding them, but the young men actually learn a little bit about food, because what they were finding out was that they would supply these guys with food in the refrigerator and the cupboards, and because they were used to being homeless or maybe not in the best of circumstances, the food would just sit there. They wouldn't know what to do with it. You know, it was easier to open up a bag of potato chips or a package of cookies. So this little outlet where the women actually go there with the food, fresh food, and show them how to cook it and prepare it has been really beneficial for both them and actually the women and men that go there and volunteer. So we have a great relationship with them. We have a big fundraiser in the fall that raises money both for that organization and for our organization, so that our officers have the opportunities to do some travel to various educational events to help us better ourselves in the professional world of real estate. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, for the community and the real estate business.
Wow, that sounds really phenomenal. What was the name of the organization that you're helping?
It's the Center for Youth, and it's a multifunction for youth. Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the leadership opportunities with the Women's Council of Realtors. When you think about leadership, what are the qualities that you're looking for, and how do you help the women develop their leadership abilities?
Well, part of it is through the networking that we put on, as well as the various educational programs that we put on. We bring in national speakers, and not just speakers because they're nationally known, but because they have very important messages to share. We also help support our membership with, as in most businesses, you have to earn so many credits every year to keep your license up. So we go out and we look at some of the instructors out there that are teaching the latest programs that we need to make ourselves better realtors. But in the membership itself, when you get back to networking, it sounds like such a very simple thing. But when you're networking with affiliates as lenders, attorneys, home inspectors, other real estate agents, you're in a capacity of learning together versus being a competitor. So you're learning how to work with other people, and you're learning that when you know these people on a first name basis, it's much easier to do business with them. when you can do business with another agent or an attorney or a lender, when you know their name, you know who they are, it benefits everybody. It benefits your seller, your buyer, everybody that's involved in the process. And when you start to feel comfortable with the people that you work with, that helps to define you as far as where you want to go. If you feel like moving forward with teaching, if you want to move forward with small groups of people as a mentor, or if you want to work with a charity outreach group, these offering women and men all these opportunities gives them opportunities to move themselves forward.
Wow, that sounds like a really positive and powerful organization. So, where can we find out more about you and your business services?
Well, I'm even though I would guess I would say I'm older. I'm the baby boomer generation. I have taken advantage of whatever technology courses that I could, and so I use video a lot. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Houzz, Instagram. One of the places you won't find me, I mean, I'm on there, but is Snapchat. I still don't understand the concept of sending people a photo or information that's going to disappear, because in my mind, I want information that's always available to me. So I don't know if that's a struggle that's realistic or not, but that's where I'm at right now with Snapchat. And Snapchat's actually trying to drag realtors into the Snapchat world, and I'm still trying to get my head around it. So who knows, it might change. I also write a blog. It's called The Chair on the Lake, which talks about the various areas that I work in and the real estate in those areas, the market conditions. I also do a report called the St. George Report, which sends market information about the lakes to various publishers. So I'm found in lots of places. Sometimes it doesn't seem like I have enough time to put data out there in the various formats, and actually looking into having some help right now with that. I always want to educate people, whether it's about the real estate business itself, because it's a rapidly changing business, just like the taxi cab business has changed immensely. The vacation rental business has changed immensely, and real estate, I think, is going to be the next business on that forefront. So I'm always trying to stay on top of where we're going and what we're going to be doing, how it's going to affect the buyers, the sellers. So being out there and being in front of everybody in the various social media climates, I think, is very important right now for every real estate agent, probably every business person right now.
You're right on target with that. So before I let you go, are there any big projects you're working on, or what's happening that you'd like to share with everyone with your business?
Well, my business is doing wonderful right now, and actually, I've been a standalone person in my business. It always seems like when you start out, when you have control over everything, you feel like that's the best way to go. But at some point, you have to determine you need an assistant, or you need a buyer's agent or a listing agent, because you can't work 24 hours a day. It's just not possible. So I'm actually working on bringing on some people as team members, and that probably won't happen until after we get through the taping of this HGTV show, which will be interesting in itself. And then we have lots of events planned for the Women's Council of Realtors that are in process, so I'll be finishing up those. And and this is the time of the year I start preparing the people under me to take over the reins for next year. So between the busy real estate season, trying to build up my business itself with more people, and that transition period with the Women's Council of Realtors, I'm quite busy. And and I also have a little blog talk radio show too, so for myself.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I haven't been very involved with that lately, as I should be. I used to do a little show once a week. I'm probably going to get back into that again with some help from some people, if I can get some more staff, and go move that direction forward. And then, of course, summertime on the lakes, you do have to take some time off and enjoy the lakes, whether it's dining on the lakes or taking a little boat ride out at night with clients or with your family. So those are some of the things I'm working on, and I think it's enough for right now.
Well, that sounds beautiful. When you were describing the boating on the lakes and swimming in the lakes, and I imagine there are some really beautiful sunsets up there also. And it's just a whole different part of New York, and the wine country aspect sounds like it would be a really cool place to visit or to have a second home. So, Mary, I really, really appreciate all the time you took, and I really appreciate the fact that you shared some of what the Women's Council of Realtors is doing to help feed people. I think that's a really important mission that you're involved with. So everyone, if you want to know more about what LakeFront Mary has to offer, check out the show notes, and I'll have all the live links of all the different places where you can find Mary, and definitely check out her blog and her website and her Blog Talk Radio. She's on top of it. She's cutting edge. I really like that a lot. So Mary, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for having me on your show, and I enjoyed our little session. And yes, absolutely. If anybody wants to know more about the area or the real estate in the area, absolutely contact me. And I love telling everybody about our area, as you can quite tell.
This is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.